Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So, we are going to get started in just 1 minute. Today, we are going to talk about fiance visas to the United States. Hi. So, as usual, you guys know we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And a hi, everyone on TikTok. I see it's more active this morning than the other channels. Good for you. All right, so today we are going to address whatever questions you have. So feel free to put them in the chat. Okay, and while you guys are getting your questions ready, we are going to discuss US fiance visas and what are the requirements for to obtain a fiance visa. Okay, so let's talk first about that. Let's say your US citizen loved one, okay, is in the United States and they want to petition for you to bring you to the United States so you can end your life together, okay? And it's been very, very difficult for people in long distance relationships since the pandemic, visiting each other, seeing each other. So, the reason I wanted to address this is this week we had quite a few consultations for US citizens who wanted to bring someone from outside the United States to live with them, marry them, and so on. And because of the travel restrictions, it seemed almost impossible. There are so many countries around the world that do not accept visitors at all, and some of the countries do not allow their nationals to leave their country for a third country. All right, so what is generally required for a US citizen to be able to bring their fiance to the United States? So, first, it must be a US citizen, just a permanent resident in the United States. Let's say you just have a green card, you cannot bring your fiance, you cannot petition for them. So, if you're not a US citizen, you actually have to travel to their country or a country abroad, another third country where your marriage would be recognized. You would have to get married and then you have to petition for your spouse, your husband or wife, okay? However, if you are a US citizen, a fiance visa is your better option. Okay, so why is a fiance visa a better option? It's because that is the fastest way to bring your loved one to the United States. Okay, so, what are the requirements? First, you have to be a US citizen, okay? You must have met your future spouse, your future wife, future husband. You must have met them at least once in the past 2 years. This is a very common question, and because of COVID, it's coming up a lot. People have known each other since they were children. They probably went to school together, then life took them different paths, and one of them went one way, one of them the other. They may have been married and gotten divorced, maybe once, maybe twice since then. It is what it is, right? People's lives are taking where they take you. So the problem is you cannot apply for your fiance unless you have met each other in person at least once in the 2 years. So, even if you have known each other for the past 20 years, you must meet in person. So, with the travel restrictions, this is seems to be the most common question that we have been getting. Okay, so what can you do if the U.S. citizen can travel to their fiance's country? Okay, for example, we have U.S. citizens who want to travel to Pakistan, okay, to meet their fiance for the first time in the past 2 years, even though they've been talking online and they've been seeing each other for a long time, okay, and they've known each other for a long time, but they just haven't seen each other in the past 2 years. Guys, we've been in a pandemic for a year and a half, okay, so it's getting harder and harder. Hi, good morning. Let me just say good morning to some people. Hi from Ghana. Hello, everyone. Good. So, let's if you have questions, just put them down. I did see a question here. After applying for I-130 myself, can your law firm file K3 for me? Yes, we can, but remember that is not necessarily a priority, okay? Depends on where you are in the I-130 process. We can take over for the rest of the process for you. We can definitely help you with those all day, okay? So, how are we getting to meet in person if with the travel restrictions? You have to see first not only the travel restrictions to travel to that country, but you also have to see if there are any marriage restrictions in that country, okay? If you are even available, if you are even able to get married. In most countries, for example, we have had clients who wanted to travel to Brazil. They traveled to Brazil to get married. They didn't know that they couldn't get married because they couldn't get a marriage license because the offices were closed. Okay. We had people who traveled to Pakistan, and then they called us because they are there, they are panicking, they cannot get married. Well, you should have known, for example, that in Pakistan, same sex marriage is not a thing. So, yes, while they cannot get married, they came back, they can file a fiance visa, but they couldn't get married. So, you really, really need to know what the restrictions are, and you need to plan appropriately if you want this done right. The other consideration is both of you at the time of filing the initial fiance petition, fiance application to bring them here, you need to be single, meaning you have to be free to marry. You either have to be never been married, or your divorce has to be absolute and final if you have been married before, or if your previous spouse passed away, died, then you need to have the death certificate. We have consultations. That was last week, actually. We had two where people went, they intended to get married, they got married, and their marriage is not valid because the prior divorce is not considered absolute based on the jurisdiction of where they got divorced. In some places, just because the judge says you are divorced, it doesn't mean you are until 30 days, 60 days, in some places a year. In some provinces in Canada, for example, you are not divorced until a year have passed from the time the judge granted the divorce. Okay? That's not all over the place, and even within the country could be different. So you need to know what you're getting yourself into, because you may be traveling and then you may not be able to petition for your fiance, even though you did travel, and then time flies and 2 years pass and you still have not been able to petition for them, okay? Because you have an impediment to marriage, okay? So you just need to make sure that you can get married, that you are able. Good morning from Ghana, from New York City. Hi. All right, let's see. Okay. I applied for the lottery, but I'm Pakistani and living in Saudi Arabia. Why? How were you able to file? Because Pakistan is excluded from the lottery. So I don't know how you applied because it wouldn't have let you apply. Maybe you want to apply. Uh, if you lied about your citizenship, you will not be able to get. You'll not be able to be selected. You're just not eligible. If you were born in Pakistan, there are very limited exceptions under which you can apply for the lottery. One of them being your wife has to, if you are married, your wife would have to petition, assuming she's from a different country, and then she would have to list you, and her country is eligible, meaning you have not been, her country has not been excluded like Pakistan. Okay, and the other one, it really depends who your parents were and what was their citizenship. For example, you say you're Pakistani, you may be Pakistani because you were born there. But if your parents were in Pakistan, for example, just tourists visiting at the time you were born, then you could use your parents' country of birth. There are no other exceptions. Where you live has nothing to do with anything. It's all about your country of birth. If I take affordable health insurance or hospital low income insurance in pass, can I sponsor my wife? Are you a US citizen? If yes, you can sponsor your wife. Give us a call. I never traveled outside. How do I travel to the United States? First, you need to get a passport that allows you to travel. That allows you to travel internationally. There are some countries where there are some countries who are issuing passports that are valid for travel only within the country or within the region. Okay, so first you need a passport that allows you to travel internationally. Once you do that, you can apply for a tourist visa to come to the United States, because you said travel to the United States. So I'm assuming that would be for travel. So if you are talking about that, then you apply for it. Oh, I see. So what kind of visa do I apply for? Because I want to stay and work in the United States. Well, that is not the way it works, Kenny. So let's go over that. There are 5 ways to get a residency in the United States. You say you want to stay in the United States. So there are 5 general ways. For those who have been here a lot, they already know them because I go over them almost every time. So, family. If you don't have anyone in the United States, obviously not an option. Asylum. That is, for you to apply for asylum, you have to be physically present in the United States. So you're still outside, that's not an option for you. Third, it's investment. Depending on your country of birth, your country of citizenship, and your financial situation, you may be able to apply for an investment visa, and that allows you to apply for residency later on. The fourth option is applying for the green card lottery, which is going on right now. You can apply until November the 9th. Okay, and I'm going to discuss on our live tomorrow how to go over that line by line. Okay, but you cannot apply for that if your country is excluded. Basically, you need to make sure that your country is not one of the excluded country and you are eligible. Okay, and then the other option to come to the United States is through employment. So you have to find an employer. You need to find a job in the United States, and the employer would need to sponsor you. There is no such thing as I just want to apply for a work visa to come and work in your country. No such way. All right. And no, I cannot help you guys get a spouse or a wife or a husband. And no, I cannot help you get a job. Okay. We are prohibited. All right. So let's see. I have a green card and I want to apply for citizenship too. Yes, you if you have if you are a permanent resident, you may already be eligible to apply for citizenship. Maybe not. Could be 3 or 5 years from the time you got your green card. Okay, you may want to not apply for citizenship if you have anything in your history that might prevent you from getting it, because you could also be your green card could also be taken away. For example, if you had a crime. Not always, but you would want to know, assuming that it's not the case, because it's not with most people. If you are petitioning for a family member abroad, you applying for citizenship could actually make them lower on the scale. They might wait longer. So if you already applied for someone to come from abroad, or you plan to, before you apply for citizenship, you should see an immigration attorney. Okay. Sometimes applying for citizenship is not your best option. Most of the time it is. Need some help from you? Absolutely. Our link is in the bio. That's where you can book a consultation with me. It's been almost a month after my interview with my wife, and the case is still pending review. Interview was in the United States with USCIS, or was the interview at the consulate? I need more information. Agnes, if I'm not educated, can I come to the US? Well, yes, it depends on your level of education. Okay, some people finish 5th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, 11th grade, whatever it is. There are agencies that would allow you to look for temporary work options in the United States. What we have seen, generally speaking, because I am in Florida and we are a service industry, mostly in Florida, we see people applying for H-2B visas, H-2B, which allows you to come and work here, for example, as in the agriculture, would allow you to work as a maid, for example. There are other options. That is probably the most common one. You can also apply to be an au pair depending on your education. Okay. Are there any health conditions that will bar one from entering the United States? Yes. So, for example, beginning with November 8th, okay, if you have not been fully vaccinated for COVID, you will not be able to come into the United States. If you have not been vaccinated for COVID, you cannot apply for permanent residency. There are some exceptions, but those exceptions are very, very limited and likely will be denied. In terms of actual health conditions, any health issues, tuberculosis is one, syphilis, gonorrhea, generally communicable diseases, okay, like a sexual transmitted disease, HIV, for example, HIV status or AIDS does not prevent one from coming to the United States, depending on where you are with the treatment. Hope that answers your question. How much do I need for an investment visa? It really depends. Generally speaking, we have the EB-5 program, but I'm going to tell you this, it's 500,000 or $1 million US. But the program is on hold for now for the $500,000 portion. You can still do the big investment, okay, if that is not an option. There are people who can apply for an E2 visa, and the dollar amount varies by company. There are companies with $5 million investments who get denied, and there are companies with, say, 200,000, 300,000, 150. The lowest we had was 80,000 who are approved. Okay, but it really depends. First, if we have a treaty with your country for the purposes of investment. There are countries we don't have a treaty with. If there is no treaty, then this option is just not available. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm Pakistani, but I born and live in Saudi Arabia. I have Pakistani passport. Can I apply? It depends. If you were born in Saudi Arabia, but you do not have Saudi citizenship, then it goes by your passport, okay? No lottery for Pakistan, sadly, no. What's the difference between citizenship and a green card? So let's talk about that. Citizenship is once you get US citizenship, you have the exact same rights and responsibilities as any US born citizen. You have the right to vote, the right to bear arms, there many others. Okay, permanent residency is a green card. You can have two different kinds of residency: a conditional residency if you obtain your green card through marriage and you have been married to your spouse less than 2 years at the time of getting the green card, then you get the conditional green card. Basically, the government wants to know that you entered into that marriage in good faith and not for the purposes of applying for citizenship. Okay, so then the other option, the other category of permanent residence, it's a true permanent residency. It's a 10-year green card that allows you to live here for 10 years. Then you have to renew it. The renewal process is not extremely difficult unless you have committed some crimes and that make you removable, deportable from the United States. So there is a big difference between citizenship and green card. The biggest difference being, as a citizen, you cannot be deported. Okay, that's the biggest difference. And of course, if you are a citizen, you can petition for certain relatives. If you're a permanent resident, you can only petition for your spouse or children. Can United States accept Somali passport? It depends on your passport and what kind of passport you got. Remember, if it's one of those regional ones that you obtained from there, we would actually have to look at the passport to see if it meets the criteria. In some instances, they do. In some, they do not. It depends on when it was issued, how it was issued. Okay? Can I visitors to what? Okay, so you're in the US at USCIS. The interview went well. Case is still pending for review. After you had your marriage-based interview at USCIS, the government has about 6 months to make a decision in your case. Normally speaking, If an interview went well, you should have already received either an approval notice or your green card in the mail. The fact that it's been already a month, it's a little concerning. So you might want to see an immigration attorney and talk to them. Now, there are people who get approvals 5 months later. What I'm thinking is you probably need to expect a request for evidence in which they are going to want to see either documentation or that they want you to answer some to clarify some of the answers that you have given at the time of the interview. If your application package when you filed it and in terms of documentation was about yay tiny, okay, then probably you will get a request for evidence to prove more. Okay. It would help if you tell me what your current status is or your spouse's status, depending who's the foreign national, what country of origin you are from, and what kind of documentation you submitted. Okay, maybe I can give you more. Nana, after divorce, when can I apply for fiance visa for my partner? Assuming your divorce is final and absolute, so that depends on two things, on the place of residence and on the place where the divorce was issued. As soon as it's final and you have met your fiance in person at least once in the past 2 years, you can file for them. Give us a call so we can make sure that you can. All right. Good morning. Can you find time to explain the USA Visa Lottery program? I have explained it over my lives for the past 2 weeks, and I will do it again tomorrow. I think tomorrow afternoon. Let me see what time it is because it's scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. Give me 1 second. I just need my calendar to come up. It's too early. Good. Can I apply for a B2, B1 visa working in Dubai? Yes, you can, but it really depends on. It really depends on your country. Depends on whether Dubai actually does sponsor does is open for visa applications. Right now, most countries are not. What are the requirements for B2 sponsor? There is no such thing. Please, I won the lottery, submitted my applications, but I have not received the code. If you haven't gotten the code, you did not submit. You need to submit and you need to save that screenshot and you need to get that done. Until you have that code, you don't have it. Have no crime in US. 12 years back, I was charged in Pakistan, but no arrest, no conviction. Charges were dismissed. If you were, it doesn't matter where the crime occurred, you still have to disclose it. If you did not disclose that at the time of applying for a green card, you might not be able to get a green card. All right. USA B1 visas apply alone is good or with family. It depends on what your goal is. What are you trying to achieve? How long does it take to process the K1 visa? The initial application part could take as little as 3 months, but as long as 9 months. And then you actually have to wait for the consulate to schedule the interview at the consulates, and that's where the waiting time is. There is a backlog of about 1 million visas worldwide, and most consulates are still not processing. K visas is an exception. They do process them in most places, not everywhere, on a limited basis. How much do I need in my bank account to be able to apply for tourist visa? It depends on your country. In some, for example, if you're from Switzerland, they will expect to see a lot more money in the bank account than, say, you're in Ghana. Okay. Trump administration restricted entering some Muslim countries. Yeah, so we don't have Trump anymore. All right, so I do have to go because I have a consultation with a client right now. So it was good seeing you guys. Hope this was useful. I did mean to tell you when I am going to go live tomorrow, and that one is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Divinity, if you applied and you were told the code will be sent to you after 3 months, then you did not apply on the official website and you probably went and spent some money someplace that you shouldn't have. When you are applying for the lottery, they give you as soon as you click submit, if you submit it properly, they give you the code immediately right then and there. Okay. So Good to see you, gentlemen and ladies, and have a marvelous day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.